Heart rate training is an easy way to make your training runs work for you. This video is going to show you the basics of how to practically use heart rate training on the trails, on the track, on the treadmill, or wherever you are doing your running training. And of course, we are adding to these training videos every week, so make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time we release a new video. For our current athletes, this video is going to make doing heart rate training a heck of a lot easier, especially when you see what your next couple weeks have for workouts. And if you're not working with Wilder yet and you want to, you can look for the link in our description to become a Wilder athlete. Today's video has 4 separate sections. We are going to start by doing a general overview of what zone training is, including talking about why there's some confusion between a 3, 5, 7, or even a 13 zone system. But then I'm going to talk about what equipment you're going to need. It's not much, but a couple pieces of strategic equipment are going to help you in your training. The third thing we're going to talk about is 4 different ways to test your zones. And then lastly, we are going to talk about specific situations where you might change your heart rate zones a little bit in order to account for what's going on with you on that day. So make sure you listen right to the end and download that PDF of the test that you can do on your own to figure out where your lactate threshold is and then estimate where your heart rate zones are. With heart rate based training, you're going to stay in certain zones or bands of heart rate for certain amounts of time, and that's going to help your body adapt in a different way depending on the workout to make you a faster runner, to make you be able to run farther, or to make running easier for you. A heart rate zone itself is just an upper and a lower limit for your heart rate that you're going to try and stay between. So for instance, let's say I have a 60-minute zone 2 run programmed for today. My zone 2 is between 135 and 150 beats per minute. So that means while I'm out on my run, I want to make sure that my heart rate doesn't go below 130 beats per minute and it doesn't go above 150. But the specific heart rates that these zones happen at are specific to you. That is the kind of perfect or best part of heart rate based training. So although my zone 2 might be from 135 to 150, your zone 2 might be between 125 and 135 beats per minute. If you want to know more about what each zone itself does to influence and change your body with running, you can check out the link in the description to an overview of the physiology of running video. But if you don't care about that and you just want to understand what zones are, keep listening. If you're perusing Google and looking for information about zone training, it can get really confusing quite fast. And the reason is some coaches will use a very simple 3-zone system. Some coaches will use a 5-zone system. That's the one we use here. Some coaches are going to use a 7-zone system. And the most zones I've ever seen was a coach who used 13 different zones for a very elite athlete. Now, all of those zones are then going to correlate to different actual changes in your body. So for instance, if we've got a 3-zone system, your zone 2 from the 3-zone system is going to be the same as a zone 3 from the 5-zone system. It can be quite confusing, but we're going to pop a graph up here to help you see how those zones correlate. And for the folks I work with, I use a 5-zone system because I find that it gives us just enough detail to make serious changes to our physiology without being so complex and complicated that we don't go for our run. Because that is the most important part at the end of the day. All you need to remember really is that training at different intensities is going to cause different changes to your body. And so zone training is an easy way to get you to train at different intensities for different amounts of time in order to make those changes happen for you. Let's talk for a second about what equipment we are going to need to do zone training. It's very simple. The main thing you're going to need is a heart rate strap. And you can get one of those on Amazon or at your local sports store. Polar is the brand that's considered the gold standard for heart rate monitors, but most strap-based heart rate monitors are going to do. You'll want to have this strap go around your body next to your skin, so you don't want it over any clothes. You want it right against your skin, and it's picking up the electrical current from your heart to figure out what your heart rate is, which is super cool. Now, I want to talk for a second here about heart rate monitors that are on your wrist or optical heart rate monitors. These are very cool. They're a newer technology. Unfortunately, they are not giving us the same amount of accuracy or precision right now that our chest strap is. Most of these optical heart rate monitors have about a 13% error rate, which is a lot if you're trying to stay in a specific heart rate for a specific amount of time. In a couple of years, maybe they'll catch up. So what I do is I will use my optical heart rate monitor throughout the day, or if I'm doing a very low intensity workout. But for anything at a higher intensity, I'm gonna pop that heart rate monitor strap on, and I'm gonna hook that up to my phone or my watch, whatever device I'm using to record my heart rate, and I'm gonna go from there. Now, when you are purchasing a heart rate strap, you do want to make sure that your heart rate strap is communicating in the same language, if you will, or over the same technology that your watch or phone is picking up in. So, for instance, if my phone is communicating in Bluetooth low energy, I'm going to make sure I get a Bluetooth low energy strap so that the two can talk to each other and I can actually pick up my heart rate. For now, if you want to use heart rate based training or zone training, invest in a strap for about $80 over Amazon. Make sure it communicates in the same way that your recording device, either a phone or a watch, is going to pick up in, and you're off to the races. Next, let's talk about how you can test your heart rate zones. This is the most important part, because if we have these numbers wrong, our training isn't going to be as effective as if we have them right. The best way to do a threshold test is with a trained professional who will put you through an incremental treadmill test and learn exactly where your aerobic and anaerobic threshold is. That's going to cost you between $150 and $200 to go into a lab or a gym that offers that service for you. But you are going to get the most specific numbers from that test, and you're going to know that your heart rate zones are correct. Now, elite athletes, they're going in and retesting these zones every 6 weeks. I would say for those of us who are training recreationally, we could test them 12 to 16 weeks, because we're not going to make as big of a change as the elite athletes are in that amount of time. The second best way to get your zones is to do a threshold testing run. I'm going to link in the description to a PDF printout that you can take with you when you do this. But basically, we want you to run for 30 minutes as hard as you can, and then take the average heart rate you had over the last 20 minutes of that run in order to estimate your second threshold or your anaerobic threshold. And from there, you can calculate some estimated zones. Now, this isn't going to be as exact as testing in a lab, but it will give you a good starting point, and it will be specific enough for those of us that are training recreationally. You're going to be running hard for this 30 minutes, like as hard as you can. So it's a really tough test. Now, I know some of you are going to be saying, hey, I'm not at the point where I can run for 30 minutes straight yet, and that's okay. We can do a 3-minute version of this test where you are running as fast as you can for 3 minutes and taking the average of your heart rate for the last 45 seconds of that run. The description of that is also going to be in that PDF I link for you guys. This is not going to be anywhere near as accurate as the 30-minute run, but it's going to be a phenomenal starting point if you're just getting into running. The fourth and final way that you can test your heart rate zones is just to take a look at your watch. Some watches now, I know this Garmin does, will give you an estimated zones for you. Now, you want to make sure that the zones your watch gives you are compatible with the workout you're doing. So if your watch is working off a 5-stage system or 5-zone system and you have a 7-zone workout protocol, they're not going to be compatible. They're not going to make sense. The other drawback to these is it's predicted based on averages, and so it's not going to be as exact or as specific to you as would one of these testing protocols. The last part of this video, we are trying to keep it short and sweet so that you can get out onto the trails or the track and get to your next run. The last thing we're going to talk about is when to slightly adjust your zones or when to use your heart rate to know that you need to cut a session short or you need to do a recovery instead of a workout. The first time I'm going to, or the first occasion where I would adjust my zones is at the end of a very long run. So let's say I'm out for over an hour and a half or 2 hours. My heart rate's gonna do something called drift. It's going to go upwards. And so you're gonna have to adjust all your zones up at the end of that amount of time to allow for that change due to fatigue. The next thing I want to remember is my zones are specific to the modality that I tested them in. So if you did your threshold run and you're using those heart rate zones on a bike, you're going to find that they don't work. Biking heart rates are always, well, almost always, lower than the heart rates you can elicit when you're out running. So just remember that you're gonna have to adjust those zones or be a little more flexible with how things feel if you are doing a different modality. And the last thing I want you to think about is if you are dehydrated, extremely tired because of the other stressors in your life, or if you are overtrained, you might notice that your resting heart rate is elevated. You're also going to notice your heart rate your heart rate won't jump up when you increase your intensity. It won't come down as quickly when you're done your intensity. There'll be more of a lag time. Your heart rate's going to respond slower to the demands you're placing on your body. Now, if this happens to you, it might mean that you need to replace a workout session with a recovery session, and that's okay. That's helping you get closer to your goals. It also might mean and should mean that you talk to a health professional and to your coach to let them know what's happening. We want to make sure that our training is making us more excited to get on the trails, that it's helping us be healthier and happier. And so if we notice that our heart rate is lagging, it might mean that we're overtrained. I hope these practical tips and this general overview of heart rate training is going to help you to train for your next event. And if you'd like Wilder to help you as well, you can check out the link in our description to our website and see what it's like to be a remote client or an in-person client in Pinchot Creek. And of course, make sure you grab that PDF for testing your own heart rate zones. Now, if you liked this video, make sure you like it so that I know. And then also make sure you comment below with any other questions you have so we can answer them for you.